travel feature and to take your questions. I have a few items of business that I'd like to run through first, just some updates on things that are going on with items in my content and some other items. And then we'll jump into the live demonstration in Revit. Feel free to ask your questions at any time throughout the session. I'll be able to see them in the comments panel, and we can keep this conversational. So let me just get through some of these items of business first. First of all, I'd like to start with an Autodesk University recap. Autodesk University was last week. It was in Nashville. It was a great success. It was a lot of fun. The big difference between AU in Nashville and some of the other venues it's been at is it was a little bit spread out amongst many different venues. So there was a lot of time walking between hotels and the conference center and so forth. That was both a pro and a con, but I found it really enjoyable. Nashville's a great city, and there was lots to do both during the conference hours and after. Next year, however, for those of you that miss Autodesk University being in Las Vegas, it is returning to Las Vegas. And so be on the lookout for that. It's right around the same time. So I think September 15th through 17 is the dates that I recall seeing, but don't quote me on that. Just check the Autodesk website for the exact details. The content from the conference, I understand, went live today. I just got an email today in my inbox saying that recorded courses are now live. So for those of you that went to the conference but weren't able to see all the courses that you wanted to, courses you missed should be live now. Check that out in the course catalog. And for anyone who wasn't able to attend in Nashville, you will now find all the courses that were done there in Nashville are now posted on the AU website. So check that out. I did a stair course. I did a few courses at AU this year, but I did a stair course, which was a live lab, and they don't record the live labs. So I am planning to record it myself and make it available through one of my channels here in the near future. I don't have the exact plans yet, so stay tuned. I'll give you those details as they become available, but my intention is to record that session. However, if you go to my website right now, on the conferences panel at the top of the page, you will see the courses that I taught at AU this year, and the course handout and the sample dataset files for, in Revit are available. So you can follow along in that handout at your own pace. And like I said, eventually I will add a video to those materials as well. So that's a little bit about Autodesk University and a recap of what happened there last week. As far as what's going on with LinkedIn Learning, there's been some changes. So you may recall that I posted not too long ago a video saying that my tips, tricks, and troubleshooting series was ending on LinkedIn Learning. That has now taken place. So the course has not only stopped publishing new content, but they've also decided to archive the course. So what archive means is that it's no longer available in the search in LinkedIn Learning. However, the course is still live. It's still posted up there. So I'm posting a link that you can check out that will directly take you to that course. So if you want to view any of the back catalog of nearly 500 videos from that course, you can still get to them from this link. Okay, and that will give you access to those. But you will need, of course, a subscription to LinkedIn Learning. So this is not a free link. So I just want to full disclosure on that. But if you're looking for that back catalog and you're worried that it has gone away, it's been archived, which just means you have to follow the direct link to get there. My other courses are still live in the catalog. So Revit Essential Training, Learning Revit, Revit Detailing, Rendering. I have dozens of courses. Those are all still live in the library. And my pleasure. Thank you for the comment there. They are still live in the library, and I've got a direct link to my course page on LinkedIn Learning for you as well that you can check out so that you can get directly to my course catalog. So I'm not leaving the platform. It's just that the tip series has stopped and has been archived. Okay, yeah, and there's the link to my courses on LinkedIn. Now, what I'm trying to do with the tip series is make sure that we don't miss a beat. And so you maybe have noticed that for the last 2 weeks, I have posted some tips, but they're now on my YouTube channel. So I would like to welcome all of you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I will be trying to post at least 2 pre-recorded tips per month. And I'm also going to be attempting to do a live session once per month. So this is one of those live sessions that you're viewing right now. And my intention is to keep that going each month. So hoping to post new content nearly every week. So 2 pre-recorded and 1 live is the current plan. And I'll keep you updated if any of those plans change. But definitely check out my YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already. As far as future goals go, we are committed. I am committed to providing you outstanding Revit content. I want to keep doing that. Larry, yeah, you made sure to subscribe. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate that. Tell all your friends, get them to subscribe as well. The platform delivery method is evolving. So I don't have any more details for you yet. For right now, Tips is on YouTube. My other content remains on LinkedIn Learning. As things change, you will all be the first to know. I'll do another live session. I will let you know, and I will also keep it posted on my website. So if you haven't already, please put a favorite somewhere to my website and check that out, because I plan to keep that information up to date. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit about what's going on kind of behind the scenes with the Revit content that I provide. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Is there any new classes? Paramal asks if I'm planning to launch any new courses. I am hoping to do the stair course, as I mentioned. So that's going to be kind of like a mini course. And I haven't exactly worked out the details of how I plan to do that one yet, but stay tuned for that. That's probably the first one that I'm going to record. Otherwise, we're very close to the new release of Revit. And so I fully expect to do something for Revit 2027 when it launches. And if history is any guide, that's usually sometime in April of the new year. So that's coming fast. That's only like 6 months away. So we'll see. But I would say in that time frame between now and the launch of Revit 27, expect to at least see a stair course where I'm going to be repurposing the content from Autodesk University, and I'll be working hard to get Revit Essentials up and running for 2027. Okay, let's jump over to Revit then. And this week I want to talk about the Path of Travel tool. This is not a new tool. It's been in Revit for a while now, but I thought it might be worth revisiting. I'm in the Snowden Tower sample architectural model, which comes with the software. And if anybody's never seen this model before, it should be installed with your copy of Revit. You would just simply go to the File menu, hover over Open, come down here to Sample Files, and it should be right here in this folder. And it's this one right here that I opened, Snowden Tower Sample Architectural. And of course, I already have that open in the background here, so I'll just simply cancel that. Path of Travel is a tool that allows you to pick 2 points on screen, and it will calculate the optimal path to get between those 2 points, and it can consider obstacles along the way. So it's ideal for calculating, say, exit paths for fire safety and so forth. So I'm just going to open up one of the upper floors of the building here, L3, but it doesn't really matter which floor I do this in. And there are some plans that already use this feature here in this file. So if you want to see some sort of completed versions, there's a set of life safety plans already in the file. And you could open up any one of those and see, in addition to Path of Travel tools, some other annotations and some other markups as well. But what I'm going to do is just kind of start clean in this floor plan, and I'm going to add some Path of Travel. So let's say we're here in this office unit space, and we want to find the optimal exit path for this floor plan. So I'm going to go to the Analyze tab, which is right here. And I'm looking for the Path of Travel tool, which is going to be over here on this route analysis panel right here. And so Path of Travel is this first button right there. And I'll just click on that. And there's a built-in path of travel lines for the line style, but you could actually use a different line style if you wish. So feel free to do that. I'm just going to use the built-in one. And I'm going to imagine that I'm standing over here in this corner, which is about equidistant between the two stairs there. And I'm going to click and then click to this doorway here to see what the path is to that exit. Now, it's currently telling me that it can't find it. So let me check the settings here and see what's what. So the model categories, the items that it considers obstacles, or does, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. The items that it does not consider obstacles are doors. Okay, so it should be able to go right through doors, and then everything else looks okay here. But let me just try clicking my my points slightly different. I'm going to stop right in front of the door and see if that makes a difference there. Okay, that did make a difference. So I guess going all the way into the stairwell confused it. Now I'm going to do the same point, but now I'm going to stop right here at this door. And what you're going to see, the first one just did a straight line, but watch what this one's going to do. So do you see how that one actually kind of goes down here, bends, goes through this doorway into here? So a moment ago, when I opened up that path of travel settings, which you can get to by going back to the route analysis panel here and clicking this little tiny arrow icon. And if I click that, it gets me back to that same dialog. And because doors is checked, that's saying don't consider doors an obstacle. And that is why it was able to go right through this doorway here as it found its way to the stairwell. Now, if you select either one of these paths, this one has a total length of just shy of 40 feet. And this one is, oh, I'm sorry, it took a minute to update. And this one is almost 45 feet. So this would be the more optimal path, okay? But they're very, very close to one another. Now, that's one way that you could do it. You could just simply look here on the properties palette to see the length of that path of travel. But these items can be tagged. And if you tag these things, you can see that a special path of travel tag pops up. And it's going to tell you not only the length of that arrow, but the approximate time that it takes to traverse that path. Okay, so that gets calculated for you. And so we've got both of those labels now that appear there. Now, I want to show you another example where you might have more obstacles in a way. So this one was pretty simple here up on the third floor. But here, we've got some furniture because this is a cafe space up here on the mezzanine. And maybe I want to figure out what the path of travel is from this far corner over here, right? Maybe kind of by this elevator, and then to get to the stairwell here. And when I run that, you're going to see that it bumps around this wall as you would expect, but it completely ignored these booths here, right? That's booth seating. And it also completely ignored these tables. And I'm not so sure that I would want folks to be, climbing over the tables, and, that seems like an unsafe way for them to exit the space. So that's another one of those situations where I would consider the settings here. Okay. So when I open this up, okay, I'm saying don't consider these categories obstacles. And right now, well, actually, this is behaving opposite of what I would expect, because if I don't consider furniture obstacles, it should do that. But maybe because I'm on the mezzanine, I think it's a height issue because it's looking at level 2. That's what the problem is. Okay. So these items are actually on the M1 level. I chose a bad example here on the mezzanine, but the path of travel is referencing level 2. So the reason it's not considering that furniture obstacles is because of the other setting that was in there. So it's a good learning moment here, right? When we look in here, there's these settings down here, which are similar to view range. So the bottom is 8 inches from the level. And when you measure 8 inches from level 2, it's actually above the furniture. And so that's why it was ignoring it. So if I drop this down to, let's do maybe -2 there. Oh, it's got to be 0, huh? Can't be negative. Let's try 0. And let's try it again. That may not be enough for this plan. So I'm going to go down to first floor and show you instead. But right now I turned off furniture, so it's still going to ignore it, right? See how it went straight across? But if I go back to the settings and I turn off furniture and click OK, then I'm going to select this, and there's a refresh right here. Okay, so when you select that, I can choose update. Yeah, it's still not tall enough. One path of travel failed to update. Okay, so it's having a hard time with that. Let's jump down to first floor. This is kind of a special case. I need to get it to, this mezzanine is referenced to the wrong level, and that's what's causing the problem. But let me show it to you on level 1, and we can go back to, I would have to rethink what I'm doing on level 2. But there's some seating here on level 1. It's the same issue, right? And so again, if I want to start over here, the difference is the furniture is on level 1. Okay, and the floor plan itself is also obviously level 1. So let's try it here and maybe go to this location. And boy, I'm just not having any luck today. Let's try here. There we go. Okay, so I guess it got a little confused when I was way over in this corner. But now, do you see how it's kind of winding its way through the furniture? That's what I was looking for. Okay, so it might take a couple tries. My apologies for that. I do have some special cases in this model because of the different level heights. Just to show you what I was talking about there, let me open up a section and you'll see why I was having the challenge. So if I just go to view here, let's see, might be jumping ahead, but what I've seen is the waypoints. Let's see. I know this might be jumping ahead, but from what I've seen, we should be able to link the path of travel and the camera views directly to Twinmotion. Boy, I don't know about that. I have not tried to link path of travel to Twinmotion. Camera views, I think, go directly to Twinmotion. I think it sees those. I'm not sure about path of travel, though. You got me on that one. I'm a little stumped there. So here's the mezzanine. Do you see it here? So it's at 5'6" above this intermediate level, and whatever, that's about 10 feet above there. But then here's level 2. So the path of travel was calculating right about here, which is just above the furniture. So that's what I was experiencing on level 2. So I need that path of travel to be down on the mezzanine level. So what I would probably have to do is create a dedicated floor plan that's on M1, and then that should solve the problem. But let me see what else we've got here in the comments here. I love your videos. All I know is because of your videos. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. Much appreciated. Okay, the path of travel, we did a single path here, but there's also this option to add your own waypoints. Okay, so let's see, I think it's in the newest release of Twinmotion 25. Still hasn't upgraded to Revit. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'll make a note to look into that, Larry. My apologies that I'm not familiar with how path of travel integrates with Twinmotion, but I will definitely add that to my list of things to look into. So with adding waypoints, this is what you can do when, in those situations where it was being super stubborn. Another option is, instead of trying to force it to do it on its own, I could come back here and select this one, and I could add a waypoint here, and then that one just did not want to work there. All right, so let's try this one here. So I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to add a waypoint, and I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one there. Right there. It keeps wanting me to check these settings, but let me set this back to the 8 inches that it started with. I don't know if that's the problem or not. And I have furniture turned off, right? Okay. Okay, so it didn't have a problem with 8 inches previously. So let's try that again. A waypoint and select it, and then another waypoint. And so if I've added those waypoints in there, now what I can do is I can just sort of drag those, right? And you're going to manually adjust what's going on here. I'd need one more, but you see how you can kind of do this. So in a pinch, if you really needed to, and it's not giving you what you want, I don't want you to think you're just out of luck. You can just work a little harder and add your own custom waypoints in there and kind of direct the path any way you like. Now, the last comment I want to make about the path of travel is, why bother? Why do this, right? Because I know some of you probably have your own content items that you've used for path of travel in the past. People use railings sometimes. People use custom families, okay? What I really like about path of travel is it's a detail line, which means that I don't have to go through any of the standard workarounds where I have to incorporate filters or other visibility control on all the different views to make them disappear. The only place I want to see my life safety paths is in a life safety plan. I don't have need for them anywhere else. And because these are detail lines, it does that automatically. That's a feature that I get for free, okay? And so that's what I really like about path of travel. That's my primary where I see the real benefit of these things come in. It does maybe have some little gotchas like we saw, but that's where custom waypoints I think largely solves that. So for me, that's the main benefit. If I open up, so I'm on a level 2 floor plan here, and if I open up any other level 2 floor plan, like down here, there's this schematic one. Okay. So that's a level 2 SD plan. You're not going to see that path of travel line. I didn't need to hide it. I don't need to do any special filters or anything else like that. Because it's a detail line, by definition, it only exists in that level 2 floor plan where I placed it. So to me, that's the primary benefit of using the path of travel over any of the other custom workarounds that I've used in the past myself, or that you may be using in your firms. But your results may vary. I'm showing it to you as an alternative. I'm certainly not suggesting that you should go right out and immediately replace all your content. But if you hadn't given this tool a try, now hopefully you've seen enough to give it a try, to give it a chance and see if it will work in your current firm and situation. So let's see. I got another question here. When do you yeah, you read my mind. I was avoiding that point, but since you've asked the question, so John says, when do you think path of travel will continue up and down stairs to other levels? That's a great question, John, and I don't have the answer to that. So hopefully soon, and that is maybe one area. I almost said it a minute ago and I held back, but that is maybe one area where you might still want to keep your railing if you're using a railing tool. So of all the path of travel workarounds that I've seen over the years, line-based families and just drawing detail lines, the one that I always liked the best was railings, because railings is the only object in Revit that has a multi-segment path. Well, that and now path of travel, right? So this path of travel has a multi-segment path, but when I select on it, it still knows that the total length is 45 feet. Okay. If you did this with any other kind of line, if this is a line-based family, a detail line, it would tell you the length of this segment, and then the length of this segment, and the length of this segment. And you would have to manually total those up in order to get the total distance. But if you use a railing that is graphically made to look like an egress path, then you can click on a railing, and this isn't an egress path here, but if I click on this railing, it's going along the balcony and then down the stairs And the total length of that railing is listed right here at nearly 70 feet. So if that railing was my path of travel, then I know that to get from, this point down to the bottom of the stairs is 70 feet. So that's probably the only real advantage that the railing trick still has over path of travel, is that it can go down the stairs. So yeah, thanks, John, for pointing that out. I was on the fence of whether or not to bring it up, but since you asked, I don't hide things here. I mean, if we're going to show you both the good and the bad, okay. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. So in the time that we have remaining, I'd be happy to take any questions you have on any topic. It doesn't have to just be path of travel. So let's just do a little free-form Q&A here. Who's got a question? See if we can play a little stump the chump here. Other than the twin motion one you've already stumped me on. Anyone got a question at all? Okay, I think I see something there. Okay. Oh, something's coming through. You wish LT had this. Yeah, Danny, I agree. But, they have to keep something to entice you to go to the big version, right? Pretty big price tag difference too, though. But that's not the only advantage you would get from going from LT to the full version. Work sharing is another biggie. Conceptual modeling is another biggie. So there's a few really big features that are only available in the full version. But yeah, sadly, I don't know any workaround for you to bring this functionality into LT. But you could do the railing trick. That works. You have railings in LT. Anything else? Okay. All right. Let's see if I missed anything in the previous comments here. All right. Looking pretty good there. Okay. Well, why don't I, staying on the theme of path of travel, let me talk about the tag a little bit. Okay, so it is, what I like about this is it's just tag by category. So I already showed it to you once, but I'm going to click it again. You do have to have a tag loaded, but you can actually build your own, right? So if you go to File, New, and Family, inside the Family Templates folder, it would be Annotations, and you want to look for an appropriate template. Now, the first thing I would look for is a path of travel template, but I don't see one. So if you don't see a path of travel template, what you do is you just do a generic tag. So this is true for any element you want to tag. There's a room template. Use that if you're doing room tags. There's a door template. Use that if you're doing door tags. But if you wanted to do a stair tag, or you want to do a path of travel tag, or a floor tag, right? Those don't have dedicated templates. So you start with the generic tag, and that's going to open up an empty blank slate. And there's this little red message here, and it says, use the property, families, and categories to change the tag's category. The insertion point is right here, and delete this note before you use it. Because if you don't delete the note, you're going to see that red note appear in all of your tags. Now, the first part of that message said, let me do that again. The first part of that message I just deleted said to click this button, Family, Category, and Parameters, if you want to change the tag's category. And this is where you can scroll through and find path of travel tags. So I would scroll down here, and it is right there, path of travel. And now this is a path of travel tag. Now every tag works the same. On Create, you go to Label, and then you click kind of near the insertion point as a rule. And this label can report any of those questions, right? So I like to think of this as your tag is asking the object a question. So we can ask what room it's coming from, or how long it is, or what level it's on, right? So we can ask any of these questions. Now, we've already seen length, and that's a pretty obvious thing to add to this, but maybe I'd also like to know what level it's on, right? So the built-in tag doesn't tell us about the level. Now, I've added 2 parameters to this label, and if you want, you can separate them with a break here. Okay, so if you check that box, it's going to put the length first, and then it's going to do a carriage return, and it's going to put the level in. And I think that's a little bit nicer. Okay, then I'm going to click OK. And then if you want to, you can go to create here, and you can just draw some graphics for this. So I'm just going to put a horizontal line in between those 2 values just to have something there. Then you would save this as a tag, right, or as a family rather, right? And I'll just call this path tag, PFA, with my initials because it's my custom one, and I'll just drop it on my desktop. And then I will load it into the project and close. And so now I have a second path of travel tag. I don't know why it decided to go to this cover page. That's not very useful. So I'll switch back to one of the views where I actually have paths of travel, and you can see that I can tag this just the same as I was able to with these other tags. And I didn't tell it to round off the values. So you can see the built-in one is rounding it off to the nearest inch. Mine is going down to who knows what, probably the 256th of an inch. And so it's showing a more precise value there. But you'd probably want to round that off. But then you can see that level 3 is showing underneath those tags. And if I use that same one on the mezzanine level, you're going to see that it will show L2. And it, once again, we'd really want that to say M1, mezzanine 1, in order for this path of travel to work correctly on this floor. But anyway, that's really all there is to the tag. So there's really nothing special about a path of travel tag. It is just like any other tag in Revit. It's just a symbol that is connected to that object, and it's reporting back that information on that object. All right. Christian is asking, do I have any trick to review room volumes? They are not visible in 3D views. Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so room volumes, to make them appear, usually people like to make them appear graphically. Usually people use Dynamo for that. And they actually create some sort of geometry. But there really isn't a built-in way to make room volumes appear as a solid object. You're only going to see them in plans, elevations, and sections. So, if I think I still have the section open. No, I closed it. I think the stairwells have a multi-height room, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I looked. So I'm going to just kind of start out here. Yeah, you see it right there? So there's this room right here. Sorry, it's selecting a bunch of stuff, so I'm having to wait there. But I'm going to click right on that room there. So that room, that's a single room that's going up the full height of the building. So by default, it's only going to go one floor at a time, but you just take the little grip here at the top and you stretch that up, or you can type it in numerically here, which is what was done in this case. The upper limit was to go to parapet 2 and drop down 13 feet from that. So however you decide to do it, that is the volume of this room. But the only way that you can see that height information is in a section view like this. If I went to a 3D view of the stair, there's no way to select the room element at all. Room elements just don't have a 3D representation. So what I've seen people do is they go into Dynamo, and there's Dynamo can grab those volumes and create elements from them, but then you have to decide what you want to turn that into on the Revit side of things. So seeing something in Dynamo is one thing, but then that Dynamo geometry needs to be turned into an appropriate Revit piece of geometry. And so sometimes people will just use import elements because it's sort of a generic 3D element that you can just drop in. They basically behave like generic models at that point. or they might create them as generic models. But then you have to do a whole visibility thing to hide and show them. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. But you can definitely get there with Dynamo. Maybe I'll do a session on that in the future. But it takes a little bit of effort to get there. So sorry, I don't have an easy answer for you on that one. John is saying, can I mention adding special properties like doors and exits, etc.? Are you talking about in the paths of travels, John? Are you asking if we can add our own properties to them, or are you just saying in general? So I'll answer it both ways, assuming that you're asking one or the other. So any element, any category, you can add custom properties. So you go to the Manage tab, and there's a Project Parameters button up here on the Manage tab. And when I click on that, you can create a new icon or a new property down here, right? So let me call this, I don't know, got to think of something for this. I'll call this like live ID. Okay, so I don't know what that means, but I'm going to just make it a text field. Okay, so I'm making this text field called live ID, and then over here you choose one or more categories to associate that to. So John mentioned doors in particular, so that's certainly an option. But let's scroll down here and see if path of travel is an option. And when I scroll through here, I'm not seeing path of travel showing up here, sadly. So it may be that it is not supporting that. Now, path of travels are just a detail line, so it's possible that we could get there under lines. Oh yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, so sometimes they don't list it as a separate thing. There it is right there. So if you go underneath lines and you check path of travel, now I've got this live ID that I can add to path of travel lines. Now, this right here is a feature that's available for text properties and I think numbers as well. It's not every kind of data, but if it's text, for sure, you can do this. If you put this thing in a group, then you can still have a unique value for each item. So if you've ever grouped doors before, you've probably noticed that in group A, it can be door 1, but over in group B, that same door is door 10. And in group C, it's door 20. And that's because of this feature right here. Okay, because even though they're part of a group, each instance can have its own separate value. If you choose this, then it's going to behave more like a type. And if you change it in one group, it's going to change all of them. Okay, so for text values like this and ID, I think it makes sense to let it vary by group. We're going to click OK and click OK again. And now if I go back to a view that has a path of travel and I select it, somewhere down here, we have a live ID. And I could put ABC in there. And I built it as a project parameter, okay, right here. But if I edit this and create it as a shared parameter instead, it takes a little more work. But if I make it as a shared parameter instead, then I could also show it in my tags. Okay, so shared parameters, you must have a shared parameter if you want it to be in a tag, but a project parameter is all that's required if you want it on the model geometry or in a schedule. Okay, so if I did a path of travel schedule right now, that custom property would be available to the schedule. But it needs to be shared to go in the tag. Okay. And I checked it on both doors and paths of travel. So if I find a door, you're going to see that same live ID is right there. And it could have its own value as well. So you can add this custom property to as many categories as you like. Okay. So I think that's what you were asking, John. But if you were asking something else, please clarify. So all right, how are we doing here? I think we're getting close to the end here, so I might have time to take one more if anybody's got anything. If not, we'll start wrapping it up. What are Jill C? What are the other advantages of the path of travel? I mean, I showed it as a fire safety kind of idea, but that is not the only use. I suppose anytime you want to find a distance that's not necessarily a straight line distance between 2 points, you could use a path of travel for that. I mean, during the height of COVID, they actually added a bunch of features to the path of travel where you could make them directional. You could add, what is it here, people, right? So that you could keep people 6 feet apart, so they kind of reimagined the path of travel as a tool to help you with finding those kinds of paths. If you're doing theme park design and you've got a queue for people to line up to buy tickets or to get on a certain ride or whatever, you could use the path of travel to help you manage that queue. And because you can do them directionally, you could say, you enter this way and you exit this other way. You could have 2 different paths, one for the enter and one for the exit. So yeah, I mean, the most obvious use for it is life safety, but that is not by far not the only use for it. Anything you can conceive of where you need to find the distance and the path. It's not just the distance, but the optimal path between point A and point B, you can use this tool for. So hopefully that gives you some ideas there. And yeah, I think we are just about at time here. So I want to thank everybody for coming to join me live today. I hope to do many more of these. And I really have enjoyed spending a few moments with you on this Tuesday afternoon, or it's Tuesday afternoon for me, wherever you might be viewing from. So thank you very much. And if you haven't already, please check out the content that I mentioned on YouTube and my website, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I will see you next time. Oh, wait, there's one last question. What is that saying there? Can you designate a door's travel direction, enter or exit in the path of travel will respect it on the reroute? Yes. I forgot how to do that, but yes, it will know whether it's going this way or that way. And that is, here it is right here. There's a one-way indicator. So that's what you use right there. And yeah, when it recalculates, it will recalculate that. So there's a little bonus one for you, and right before the buzzer. So thanks for that, John. Okay. All right. Now we're really going. So thank you very much. And I will see you all next time.